All right. Good evening. It's Saturday night, and I am in. No, it's not. Is today Saturday? No, it's Friday. Is today Friday? Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. It's Friday night, and I'm in New York City, and it is day 3 for me of the Integrative Healthcare Symposium. As you guys get logged on, hit your like buttons, hit your heart buttons, do all those things so that I know you're here, and then click share when it comes up, click watch party, and then start a watch party. All right, do that for me. I'm going to share. There we go. It says I'll be notified when people join the watch party. Okay, that's great. Good evening, guys. I hope you guys have had a great day. Holy cow. I just got back from dinner from my favorite Italian restaurant in New York City. It's called Basso 56. So I had red wine and limoncello. So good Lord, there's no telling what I'm going to say tonight. Hey, Ella, sweet baby, how are you? My kids, one child is in Hong Kong backpacking and doing all those things. Actually, he's not backpacking in Hong Kong. The other one's working at home in Franklin. So I miss my kiddos. Anyway, so I had limoncello and red wine, and I had the best lamb ever. We had all gluten-free, dairy-free tonight. I had risotto, which was dairy-free, and lamb shank, and we had a beautiful salad and red wine and limoncello. So I might be, who knows what I'm going to say, but today was great. So if you guys saw my Facebook post or my Instagram post today, it was a really good day. Learned all kinds of great things. Started the day off with Dr. His name is Walter. I always thought it was Victor. It's Walter Longo. And I think he's Italian. I don't know. He acts like he's Italian. And he wrote this book, The Longevity Diet. Have you guys watched or read this book? I just bought it, got it at home, and daggone it if they didn't give us one here. So anyway, I have 2 now. He's all on the fasting, fasting mimicking diet, which I'm a big fan of. Intermittent fasting, and that's what he talks about, right? And so he says, so here I'm going to read off all the things that I've learned today, right? So he starts off, he says, what would happen if we cured cancer? And this is really interesting. Do you know the research shows that we would only live about 3 to 4 years longer, which is a big deal to me, but 3 to 4 years longer if we cured cancer and just cancer alone. But if we cured cancer plus cured cardiovascular disease and diabetes, then we'd live 13 years longer. Cardiovascular disease and diabetes are huge killers. Cardiovascular disease, of course, is the #1 killer of women, right? So that's a big deal. We would live 30 years longer if we can delay aging as effectively as we can in mice. So in the mice studies, we can delay their death by 30 years, but supposedly, well, I don't know about 30 years. I don't know if mice live that long, but that's what it says here. We would live 30 years longer if we can delay the aging as effectively as we can in mice. So they probably somehow figure that out, because I don't think mice live 30 years. But anyway, let's see here. He talked all about eating less and living longer. And basically, what do I say? What is on my office wall that I say every day to you guys? What goes down the pie hole will either heal you or kill you. It is as simple as that. And this is, of course, this is all this conference is talking about. They don't say it that redneck that I say like that, but that's all they're saying is what goes down the pie hole. So choose wisely, people. Fasting mimicking diets, all right? They reduce and they delay cancer. So that they have studies on that right there. And basically what you do when you do a fasting mimicking diet, which is like the Prolon diet, you fast for 4 days, 2 days a month, 2 times a month. So it's actually 8 days a month. It's a combo, let's see here. The fasting mimicking diet decreases multiple sclerosis symptoms. There was a study in 2016 that showed that. It also decreases diabetes, which is pretty fascinating. Blood sugar and it also decreased blood sugar in pre-diabetic patients after just 3 cycles of the fasting mimicking diet from and these are pre-diabetic people that had fasting blood glucose levels from like 105 to 110. So they're basically pre-diabetic, but it lowered their blood sugar levels. He's a fan of fasting a minimum. So if you fast, hit your heart buttons. Jessica, you just did a fast. Good. Did a fast for a week long. My parents are doing it for a month. Always intermittent fasting. It helps so much. Yeah. I actually intermittent fast probably 12 hours a day, and I do that kind of unintentionally, not real strict because I have coffee in the mornings. I don't use milk anymore, but I do put coconut milk in it. So technically it's not real fasting, but I think I'm going to try this. So anyway, he says that, a minimum of 12 to 13 hour fasting. Do you also know that people who skip breakfast die sooner? Now, this is pretty fascinating, and there's studies on this. They also have 2 times an increase in gallstones for the people who fast 16 hours a day. Now, I have always told patients to fast 16 hours. I didn't know this about the 2 times the increase in gallstones, and there was a study that showed that. I've always said, eat from 10 to 6 or from 12 to 8 and then fast from 6 at night until 10 the next morning. But he says you really don't need to fast over 12 to 13 hours a day. And that is completely fine if you do that. And it does the job. And then, so that was a great thing. I can't wait to read this book, The Longevity Diet. So I have it along with 1,000 other books at my house. The next speaker that we had was Josh Axe, who is a Franklin boy. He's in Franklin. He's about a quarter mile from my office. I've known Josh for maybe 10 years. I used to buy Josh's cookbooks out of the very first cookbook that he wrote, and I can't remember the name of it to save my life. It was spiral bound, and it was phenomenal 10 years ago. And he would pull up to Cool Springs Family Medicine. He personally would, with his car. I would go out there with $200 and buy 10 cookbooks for $10. 20 cookbooks for $10 a piece and sell those to my patients. And many of you that are watching probably have those cookbooks. So I've known Josh forever, back when he was doing what I'm doing, just going to conferences, speaking, doing his own little thing, but not big time like he is now, right? And he spoke today on traditional Chinese medicine and the healing properties of traditional Chinese medicine. And it was so great to get to see him. I got to talk to him for a little bit. And so and I shared posts about this on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you need to go over there and see that at Dani Williamson Wellness. And he showed all kinds of things all about the elements, the Chinese elements: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And I went online and I took the Chinese element test. I said, Chinese element test, and it takes 2 minutes. I am fire and wood, and I'll have to read it to you all. And it is exactly spot on who I am. I am a fire and I'm a wood. And he talked all about that. And he talked about how the Chinese, they've done this for thousands of years. We've done this for 100 years, maybe a little bit more than 100 years, but how they really know what they're talking about. And I'm not going to get into all this Chinese medicine because I really don't understand it that much. He also talked about Ayurvedic medicine, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. I don't know how to pronounce all of that, but we all have those different elements to us. And he talked a lot about that. He talked a lot about herbs for sure, herbs for women, herbs for men. If you want to build your testosterone, which I talk about this all day, every day, fenugreek, ginseng, deer antler. Those are 3 that help build our testosterone building. A little bit about thyroid. He talked about ashwagandha, which we know that. We talk about ashwagandha all the time. It's one of my all-time favorite adaptogens. It helps convert T4 to T3 in your body, which is great. That's for your thyroid. T3 is your gas pedal of your body. It's your metabolism. It's your get up and go. So ashwagandha also helps you sleep. It's an adrenal adaptogen. It helps give you energy if you need it, calms you down if you don't need it. It's in Chinese medicine. It increases your qi and your yang. I don't guess it's chai. Your qi and your yang. I'm not quite sure what all that means because You forget I'm from Gilbertsville, Kentucky, and I don't know a lot about Chinese medicine, but he did talk a lot about candida and that in Chinese medicine, of course, looking at the tongue. And we talked all about the white tongue, the scallop tongue, the ridge tongue, all the parts of the tongue, which I actually shared on Instagram. So you all can look at that page or look at that thing that he posted there. There was an autoimmune panel that was fantastic. And it was Dr. David Brady, who wrote the Fibro Fix, Dr. Perlmutter, who wrote Grain Brain and all the brain. He's a neurologist, and these three other people that I had no idea who they are, but they're like big famous autoimmune. Two are from out of this country. You know, 1 in 2 of us have an autoimmune issue, which I have lupus, and thank goodness I think that's all that I have. But once you have one autoimmune disease, the average is 3. So, you know, Hashimoto's and celiac disease go together, and rheumatoid arthritis and multiple sclerosis. So many people, I see a lot of patients every week in the office who have multiple autoimmune diseases. Autoantibodies appear decades, many times, before you actually test positive or before you actually are diagnosed with lupus or diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis, etc. The Journal of Autoimmunity had an article, a study that showed that our autoimmune disease is 70% environment, 30% genetics. Well, that's not new news for those of you who follow me and who are patients of mine. I tell people this every single day. You are not your genetics, right? Genetics is the gun. Your environment pulls the trigger. And that's what they talked about today. And the research shows that you're 70% environment, 30% genetic. Now, you can't change your genes. You can't alter your genes, but you can alter your environment by your diet, by your sleep, by decreasing stress in your body, by, you know, pooping well, by moving your body. And they showed research after research, and I can't go through all of it because I sat through literally 10 hours of research today. We have a brain microbiome. Yes, we do. We have bacteria in the brain. We have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria. But the gut and the brain axis is 100% connected. What do I tell you people every single week? You heal the gut, you begin to heal the brain. It's a fact. Do you know that 90% of the serotonin in your body is located in the small intestine? It's not in the brain. So you begin to heal the gut, you begin to heal the brain. Do you know that? So who was talking about this? I can't remember who said this. There was a little bit here. Well, we're going to talk a lot about Alzheimer's and dementia, but if you have herpes, simplex 1, that's oral herpes, by the way. 2 is genital herpes. HSV1, you know, that is associated with an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. And the research is really heavy on that. And it's true, solid research on that. If you have HSV1, fever blisters, cold sores, you've got an increased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. So you need to tighten it up. You need to clean it up. We need to work on the environment. They talked a tiny bit about mold. There wasn't a lot about mold, but, you know, I can't remember who said this. It might have been Dr. Perlmutter. He said, you know, we've always lived with mold. We've been in moldy environments for eons, for millions of years. We've been in moldy environments. Why in the world is mold such a big deal now? We have sterilized our lives to death. We have absolutely created problems with all this sterile environment that we live in. Well, there's nothing sterile, but, you know, all of the antibacterial lotions, all of those things, right? Hey, Mary. All right, I'm trying to get back on here. Anyway, so, you know, that's not necessarily a great thing, right? I rarely use hand sanitizer and things like that. Do you know that celiac disease patients have approximately 10 times the rate of autoimmune thyroid disease, autoimmune Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and autoimmune Graves' disease? 10 times the rate, all right? It's unbelievable, than non-celiac individuals. And this was a study from 2003, actually. So celiac disease patients Hey there, Mary. Have approximately 10% higher rate of autoimmune thyroid disease, which would be Hashimoto's thyroiditis and Graves' disease, than non-celiac patients do. And then we didn't really end. The main conference was over today with Dr. Perlmutter, who won a great big visionary lifetime achievement award and all. And he's fantastic. He really is good. He's a funny man, Dr. Perlmutter. But he had an hour and a half lecture on lifestyle choices. You know, they map your brain's destiny, your lifestyle choices, right? What you choose, what goes down the pie hole, how well you move, what kind of stress you have in your life, your choices, the things you choose map your brain's destiny. And so he was talking about Alzheimer's disease cost us $1 trillion in 2018. He's a neurologist, by the way. If you don't know who Dr. David Perlmutter is, he's phenomenal. $1 trillion in 2018 in Alzheimer's disease care. By the year 2030, which is, guys, it's like right over our shoulders right here, it's estimated it's going to cost us $2 trillion by 2030 in Alzheimer's disease care, spent on the care of Alzheimer's disease. Well, who are the caregivers? Twice as many females have Alzheimer's disease than do males. Okay, that's bad. Who are the caregivers, though, in this world? They're the females. So this is a bad situation. We are on a slow-moving train here that is going to be an absolute epidemic in the United States. Alzheimer's disease and dementia, you guys know, is really near and dear and close to my heart. My mom's been diagnosed with dementia, and it sucks, actually. It is a terrible disease, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Although she seems to be doing fine right now, she's still puffing away on her cigarettes, 2 packs a day or whatever, and eating her Splenda-soaked strawberries and refusing to take her vitamins that I send her and her CBD oil. So anyway, do you know that Pfizer, I didn't know this just came out. Pfizer, it said the pharma giant Pfizer pulls out of an Alzheimer's disease research study because there's no cure for this. And so there was too much going. I don't know all the reasons they pulled out of the study, but the thing is, what are the underlying factors of Alzheimer's? What causes Alzheimer's disease? I don't know for sure, but it's lifestyle. And that's what they say. Alzheimer's is a disease of prevention. Once you get it, we don't have a cure for it, right? But one of the big things, and he talked an hour on this, we call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. And so insulin resistance is a big contributor to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Hypometabolism occurs, and it puts it before decades before the clinical manifestations of Alzheimer's disease actually happen, right? If you're insulin resistant, it increases your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's 4 to 6 times. It just does. Young women who have polycystic ovarian syndrome have a 9 to 14%, they have an increased rate of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. It's unbelievable. So, and he says, how do we treat PCOS? Metformin, birth control, and then the ones who are overweight, we give them bariatric surgery. And we're just treating the smoke. We're not treating the fire. There's a root cause for every single symptom that's going on with you, everything that's going on. You weren't born with PCOS. You weren't born with migraine headaches or lupus or diabetes. Most people weren't born with diabetes, or high blood pressure or high cholesterol. Most people weren't born with high cholesterol. We turn those on, right? So midlife, low-level inflammation markers, right, are associated with late life brain volume decrease. So a decrease in the size of the brain. And he's saying midlife is 30s, okay? Because the average age is 79. Average age of death is 79. We start decreasing our health in our 30s, at 30. So guys, you guys who are younger than 30, you need to take care of your brains and take care of your body now. I'm telling you, had I known, what did you do in your 20s and your 30s? Holy cow. I didn't know anything about this, but we start declining in our 30s. It's a fact. And then by the time we get to our 50s, that's when the chronic disease starts. 63, I'm sorry, is when the chronic disease starts, and then we're dead by 79 on average. So low-level inflammation in midlife is a huge contributor to dementia and Alzheimer's and decrease in the brain size. He says that, every bit of this is a lifestyle choice. It's a lifestyle choice. C-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker, is a powerful marker of cognitive decline. So if your C-reactive protein stays elevated, it's a marker of what's going to be going on with you down the road. Menopause and Alzheimer's disease. There was just an article, look it up. I haven't looked it up, but he had a slide. It was just in the Wall Street Journal this week or last week about Alzheimer's disease and menopause. And it's a disease of middle age. And, we lose our hormones, and hormones are, not only do we lose our hormones in menopause, we also become more insulin resistant. We also have higher blood sugar levels. Our blood sugar levels go up. We get more fat around the middle, right? The adipose fat around the middle. These are all signs. These are all things that point to decreased brain function. And those are the things that happen when we go through menopause. In midlife, we become insulin resistant, right? The big marker for Alzheimer's is APOE4, right? We know that that's a genetic marker. If you have an APOE4, you have a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Now, I did my genetic testing, and I asked you guys last year, should I do it? And lots of you said no, and Jackson said no, but I went ahead and did it because I'm kind of stubborn like that, and I wanted to know because my grandmother died of dementia. My mother has dementia, and I thought, well, I need to know. And I didn't live the first 40 years of my life very well. I ate what I wanted. I was a Pop-Tart, Captain Crunch, frozen pizza, canned icing, Betty Crocker kind of girl, Sonic, Chick-fil-A, all those things. So I have an APOE. I have an APOE 2-3. I do not have the 4 gene, which is the highest risk. I have a 2-3. I have a very low risk for Alzheimer's. I still have a risk, but a very low risk for Alzheimer's disease. And I was really relieved. I checked both my children. They don't even know that yet. They have the exact same markers I do. So I'm happy about that. I don't know where my mom, well, I don't know what hers is. So I don't know what happened there. But visceral fat is a major site for inflammatory process, for inflammatory cytokine production, right? And it's linked to an increased risk of hypertension, diabetes, and it's also associated with brain atrophy, shrinking of the brain. Visceral fat around the middle, that belly fat, those wheat bellies that you see out there. I have a whole course that's on our website. It's called Inflammation is the Devil, and it talks all about inflammatory cytokines production. So he talked about that today. Dr. Perlmutter did. Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, they're both neurological diseases. You see a neurologist for that. It's the same mechanism of Alzheimer's disease. Parkinson's is. We don't know what causes it for sure. It's inflammation. 1 million people by 2020 will have Parkinson's disease. 60,000 a year are diagnosed. Greater than 10 million people worldwide have Parkinson's disease. It's associated with people who are type 2 diabetic have an increased risk for Parkinson's disease. So type 2 diabetics, I'm going to tell you right now, diabetes scares the heck out of me. Diabetes scares me worse than cancer. It affects every cell in your body. It affects every artery, every vessel, it affects everything. Excuse me. So diabetes is associated with Alzheimer's disease. It's associated with Parkinson's disease. It's associated with so many things, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all those things. So the bottom line is You are what you eat. You have to eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, decrease stress. You have to have community. So I went to an extra session tonight that was put on by Metagenics, and it's Dr. Sarah Godfrey. And I'm not going to move, but I've got her book over there that I got. And she was talking all about the aging process and aging well. And it was fascinating. Tomorrow night I'll talk to you about it because I had my notes. I left from there, went straight to dinner, and I threw all of my notes in Lisa Storrs' purse. And she has my notes, so I don't have them. But I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. She is fascinating. If you don't know Sarah Godfrey, she's a medical doctor. She's an OBGYN. She deals a lot with hormones. But she gave the most real, down-to-earth lecture tonight on stress is killing us. And she talked a lot about telomeres. And, you know, the telomeres are at the end of your chromosomes. So say your chromosomes look like something like this. They don't, because my hands I've got little short fingers, but your chromosomes kind of look like this. And at the very end of these chromosomes are your telomeres. They're like the tips of your shoelaces. They're the hard things, or I don't know if they're hard, but they're like the hard little pieces at the end of your shoelaces. And the shorter they are, the shorter your lifespan, right? The longer they are, the longer your lifespan. And so our telomeres shorten with age many times. And she talked all about this study that it was all about stress and moms who have children who are chronically ill. They're very sick. They are either chronically ill or they have a like autism or Down syndrome or something like that. They have a chronically ill child, or they have a child like that. They have one who's in, you know, what is it, the ICU and things like that, or they have a special needs child. That's the word I was trying to think of. Those children. And then they have atypical children or typical children that they're not chronically sick. They're not in the ICU. They don't have Down syndrome or anything like that. And there was a study on the length of their telomeres, and the lady, and I totally forgot her name, she won the Nobel Prize for this, for her study of telomeres. And they predicted that the women with the children in ICU or chronically sick would have shorter telomeres and would have a shorter lifespan. But what they actually found out was that they did not actually have shorter telomeres. The women who had who believed their stress was worse, who their perceived stress was worse, had shorter telomeres. Meaning what that means is it's how you handle stress. It's how you handle it. Just because you have a lot of stress in your life does not mean that you're going to die sooner. It's how you handle it. And so, and mentally, and how you handle it physically. So it was quite fascinating, actually. Telomeres are interesting. I don't know a lot about telomeres, but I would love to learn more about it because I think we're missing. And I don't know how to check telomeres. I know you check your white blood cells, but I'm not quite sure how you do that. So I'm going to find that out for you all and see what test it is that we can do to check our telomeres and see where we are. She checked her. She was 45 years old. Her telomeres were the length of a 65-year-old. So she said, I have to make some major changes. And she did in her life, some major stress changes and things like that. So that was today. Tomorrow is, and that was just nothing. That was literally 25 minutes of 10 hours today. So you guys, it's so overwhelming here. It's like Lisa Storrs said, holy cow, it's her first year here. And, you know, she's our pediatrician that I love and I refer to a lot. She said, oh my gosh, Dani, there's so much. And it is overwhelming. Tomorrow, I'm going to start off with the title of the lecture is Doing It Better, Integrative Medicine for Sexual Dysfunction. Yes. You all know I love to talk about anything that has to do with your sex life and getting your sex life back on track. So I hope it's good. It's actually a panel. Sometimes yeah. So anyway, Doing It Better, Integrative Medicine for Sexual Dysfunction. And then next, I'm going to talk about exploiting genetic variations in hormone balancing for women. I have no idea what that even means, but I'm going to go to it because I like Wendy Warner. And then the last one, well, not the last one, but the last big one is testosterone in men. Why levels are low and treating with natural therapeutics. I'm real excited about this. I can't tell you how many men in their 20s and 30s and 40s that I see with extremely low testosterone, like lower than mine. No joke. No serious joke. I had a guy not too long ago, and his testosterone level was lower than my testosterone. And I told him, I said, dude, we got to fix this because I've got higher testosterone than you do. And he laughed, and we're working on it. So anyway, I'm excited. And then we end tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So it's going to be another full day. I am placing some orders. I'm buying mushrooms. I'm getting us all kinds of reishi mushrooms, lion's mane mushrooms, all kinds of great mushroom stuff for our brains and for our immune system. So we're going to be having that stuff in the supplement store. So all kinds of great things. Let's see here. March the 1st is the Hashimoto's meeting. 6:30 at Nashville Restorative Dentistry. And the dotted line is going to be the guest speaker there. Paul is. He's going to be talking about cooking gluten-free and making it taste well with herbs and spices. And Josh Axe and multiple people have said it. Actually, we have an herb and spice deficiency in our bodies. We don't use the herbs and spices like other countries do. You walk in a market, Josh said today, you walk in a market in another country, and it's true because I was there last summer, and it smells like, cinnamon and cardamom and black pepper and, all of the great spices. And you walk in a market here and it smells like bleach. We are devoid. So that's March the 1st. This Sunday, talking about food, the Spinach Tiger is going to be my guest on Sunday night service. And we're going to be talking, that's Angela Roberts, spinachtiger.com. She's going to be talking all about aging beautifully, aging into your 60s and your 70s and doing it beautifully and doing it with style and working out and having your girls and having your community and sleeping well and all the things and eating well and enjoying life, because she has an unbelievable website with over like 1,000 original recipes, and she's phenomenal. That's this Sunday night. So, all right, guys, I come home Sunday afternoon, and then boom, we have Sunday night service Sunday night. So I'm tired and I'm getting ready to go to bed. So you guys have a great night. I've had a great time in New York. Last night I had the best Cuban meal ever. Went to my favorite Italian restaurant tonight. Tomorrow night I haven't decided exactly what we're going to do, but I've got several different things going on. So have a good night. It's Friday night. It's almost 9 o'clock. Is that right? In Nashville. So I hear it's raining a lot there. It's not raining here, as you can tell, out back or out behind me here. Out yonder back there in the city, we're in New York City. What is that? What is that? Pace Picante? What would they say? Get the rope? I can't remember. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm tired. I'll see you later. I love you.